Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Enigmatica 2 Expert. So the time has come now for our second world tour and our second world upload. Of course, we still have a lot of projects in the works, because we are kind of jumping around. But we have gotten quite a bit done since the last world upload. And of course, I like to do a world tour with these for anybody just jumping into the series or something like that, so they can kind of catch up on what all we've been working on here. And in addition, it's good for us to be able to go back and just kind of take a look at a lot of buildings we don't go into very much. There's places that I happen upon often on here that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this place even existed. And especially a lot of our early builds and things like that. So I do want to take just a little bit of time. We're going to kind of try to move through this pretty quickly because as our base gets bigger, it takes longer, of course. But of course, we are building in this area. We're pretty much going to be, over time, taking over like this entire large space here, and maybe doing some stuff even out towards this ocean. We'll see. I know this will get opened up a bit, and we'll probably shape up this river a little bit. We'll see. But as far as what we have done so far, of course, I always start out here because this is kind of where we began. We began with our farms early on because food was so very important for us to get. I did go ahead and upgrade these because I was doing a little bit of sorting we'll talk about here in just a little bit. We still have to come back out to these farms and add the little like divider walls and stuff. I know I keep saying we're going to do that. We will. There's just so many different build projects that it takes a little bit for me to find the time to get over here. But of course these are all done with fertile soil and just tons of different crops spread out through here. We don't actually really farm these anymore. And then we have these little Windmill Towers set up, and could probably spruce the insides up a little bit. We built these. These are one of the first things that we built. I could steal that peace candle. Realistically, I don't really come out to these anymore. And at the top of each of these is machines that we had set up for the very beginning of the pack that are still kind of here. And I do still occasionally use these because I haven't pushed tech all that much. Aside from just pushing progression tech. So that is something that we are going to be working on in the coming episodes, because we've got a few things coming up. But see, there's another tower here, another tower over there, and another tower over there. This one does have our Inferium setups. And it's been a little bit since we last came over here. This is, of course, our Tier 1 Inferium. And over here we do now have Tier 2. Because we have gotten enough of the seeds to fill that out. And we're going to be starting Tier 3, and then Tier 4, 5, and 6 before long. And just using our seed system to spread it. These crates, I need to move these. These are filled with a bunch of junk. But of course, we still have a lot of terrain work. We're going to be doing a speed build out here probably before too long. Doing some cleanup stuff. Maybe working on the hive area, because right now it's just some hives stuck on the ground. Doing our Pam's bees and our rustic bees over here. If we pop back over, these are some of the buildings that I forget even exist, to be honest, because we had set this up early on to make cooking a little bit easier for us. And, you know, we kind of have all this stuff stocked. I still need to facade this floor. I don't think the other side, no, it doesn't. See, I forget these buildings are here, and it's like, I think we didn't have a painting machine at the time, and then I never got back over here to paint it. And then we have like this tower area here. And then if we pop downstairs, we actually lived here for a little while at the start of the series. And actually still have a bed down here. This is where our food storage was. And at the time I was on the old PC, so I had to hide the labels. But there's actually a bunch of like random junk in here still. And our chicken is still kicking away back here, making eggs. We're going to be doing a big chicken setup before too long, though, because we are going to be needing more eggs before long. If we come over, and then the outer area of our walls, not finished yet. We're going to be working on those. Walls, of course, we're just kind of doing those in segments because they take forever, and we just have so many walls to build. This is another building that I forget was here. We used to have IC2, like starter tech in here, and of course it all got moved over to the tech building. And then this building kind of got forgotten about pretty quickly into the series. Aside from the lower area where I still have the smith stuff, we're going to be overhauling smithing. All this stuff's going to be getting pulled out. I am still going to fill out these drawers at some point, as long as it doesn't end up like a forgotten building that I forget is here. Fill these drawers out just for decorative purposes, and we still need to come over here and build our other big smeltery system and kind of fill out these armor stands and stuff just to kind of get this building sort of finished out. But at the moment, we're still using this system for smelting because it's actually pretty good still, realistically, because we're not doing like a bunch of automation or stuff like that. So everything's kind of more hands-on crafting. But between this world upload and the next, we are going to start moving into a bit of automation related stuff and a bit more tech stuff. So we will be, one of the first things we're going to be doing after this world upload is doing a bit with kind of overhauling our ore processing system. And we're going to be building a large ore processing system factory type thing. And we're going to be going with mechanism quintupling, and we are also going to be building a proper mine. Even though we probably won't use it because we have the Deep Dark builder, we will still build one for decorative purposes. Now this building over here, the interior is still very unfinished, as you can see. We do have this little system over here, which is used for duplicating seeds. It is very slow. We need to put sprinklers or something in here to speed it up a bit. But really that's all that's in this building at the moment. This will be kind of our farming hub building. But it's not something, we're kind of building and doing things based on a priority system, and it's not really been a priority. And if we come out over here, I still love these buildings. I've been actually working over here. You'll see a little bit of some of the stuff I've done in that building and that building. But these two buildings, there's not a whole lot of changes, I don't guess, that have been made of recent. This is going to be, of course, our tree farm area for phytogenic insulator tree growth. And look at those walls. Even unfinished, like the insides, they still look kind of cool. But we will do the back sides of these. Of course, we just kind of do them in bulk, and we were doing interior side walls before. Now over here is our Pam's tree farm area, or tree crop area. So we have all of our different crops ran out in long lines here. I don't remember which, but I know there's a couple duplicates in here, but I don't remember which those are. Still have to decorate this. We have a lot of interior decorations we got to do, but once again, kind of working on a priority-based system, and that hasn't been a huge priority for us. This little deck area, we'll have to put some furniture out here. If we head down, this is our large-scale greenhouse area, of course. This is still, I love this building. It's pretty simple on the inside, but you will notice that I have added sprinklers in here because as I added more recipes for foods, I decided I want more crops, even though it doesn't really matter, because I did increase the buffers for our crops because we were only holding like 8 stacks of each thing, and I did increase that with some storage upgrades. I think it was just 1 per right now, but I did increase that, but I wanted more crops coming in, so I did add sprinklers through kind of the center here, and then over here and here as well. Still have not found lotus seeds. I don't know if I'm just very unlucky or if they're not in the pack. I would love to find them though. Even though it's not like we need experience, I have tons of experience. That's another thing we will be doing before long, is kind of refining our experience system and setting up an experience obelisk just to make our lives a little bit easier. Even though I don't really use XP for much, to be perfectly honest. But and then if we come over here, we have our last of our agriculture buildings at the moment, though we are going to be adding some more stuff. And this is where everything is managed by XNet. Because one of our goals, of course, if you weren't around when we were putting this together, one of our goals within this series is to automate every food. Pam's Harvest Craft actually editions all the foods. We will have them all automated, and it will all be done through XNet, and then it'll just be basically plugged up to an AE2 subnetwork where we can access all the foods. But it's a work in progress. It takes a while, but we actually have gotten a lot of work done. I can show you that since the last time I guess we were over here. But I did add this little door so we could kind of slip behind that there, and there's a little painting up there now. Now, if we come in here, this is where our kitchen is. You can see a sign here, add meat cooking. I do have some recipes that involve cooked meat, but at the moment I do have to manually cook that. We are going to be adding a big meat cooking area before too long. We come back in here, you could see I'm just kind of displaying some of my favorite foods and foods that I like. We got pizza, we got hamburgers, we have bulgogi and omurice, and also you'll notice that we do have, in addition to our gourmet burgers, you can see they have since capped out on burgers at this point. I did add other hamburgers, which these are kind of more of a recent addition, and I did add in Southern style breakfast, Korean dinners, corned beef breakfast, thankful dinners, and some of this stuff. This is something I've been kind of working on since the internet has been acting up a little bit. Uploads have been a bit slow, and so I was like, well, I'm going to spend a bit of time setting up crafters, and I actually just got all these plugged up. So they're all kind of starting to run, and just kind of running as we get in the materials and things. Over here, there's some random foods that we had, because I was kind of sorting things out, and I dumped those in here. But if we come in here, we have a variety of other things like crackers and stuff. We have juices, which back when we first set up the juices, there was a few juices that were added, and I have updated that to have those new juices. Updated that kind of after they were added in. And then we got donuts and cupcakes and jelly sandwiches over here. And then back in here, and of course this is our drawer controller if we need to insert anything. But back in here is kind of our ingredient closet area. So we store kind of all of our ingredient stuff back in here, base ingredients. And then we have kind of like refined ingredients like batters and biscuits and doughs and, ground meat and cheese and things like that. And we have our shipping bins, which at the moment is our source of emeralds, which is a great source of emeralds, might I add. And then if we come up, I have added some little tables and stuff around here, and you can see this is from our Inferium system. We have so much essence we'll never need anymore, but I'm going to keep expanding the farms because we can. And then tables run back through here. And then over to our crafting area, we go up these stairs right here, and this is where all of our crafting is done. We are using crafter tier 3s. Now, a lot of these we could realistically go with crafter tier 2s. It's not expensive to upgrade to crafter tier 3s, and in some cases we do need them. And so I'd rather have it all be concise and all the same, so I've just done crafter tier 3s all down through here. But you can see a variety of foods kind of being created all down through here, which we covered how to set all this up, a bit back. But yeah, there's foods all through there, and then our little milk system, which I have expanded slightly, brought this out, and so we have lots of milk coming in. Our grinders and pressers for doing a lot of our, our ground meats and things like that. More crafters over here producing things, and then if we come upstairs, we have even more crafters. These three are kind of recent ones that were just added. And then I added these in, but these don't actually have recipes in them just yet. They are plugged up from the back here, so whenever it comes time to name them, I can still access them, but they don't currently have a name or anything. And actually, this is one of the areas I totally forgot that we had, was back in here, and we were going to add a ladder that comes up to this area. And I totally forgot about this whole little tower segment that was over here, because it's not one of the places that I normally go. And then the other day I happened to be looking, and I was like, I'm going to expand the crafters out, this way. And I was like, what's all back here? And then I was like, oh yeah, there's all this space back here that we've got. So I totally forgot that was there. And then we can come back over to this balcony here. So, and that is kind of the agriculture area. Still one of my favorite areas, especially once we get back over here and start doing some cleanup and addition work. And then back in here is our ground traps. We talked about a way we're going to spruce these up a lot and make them look a lot nicer before too long, hopefully. But because we are going to be doing some work with animals and animania and just different things, so we will probably try to spruce these up a little bit as well. And then in the back we have a generator that runs. It's actually a very small portion of the power that we use in this building, but it's also kind of there for decoration. We got to build a little building that kind of goes over it and kind of covers it. Now, before we head into the town, we'll just quickly go over here to where the outer walls are actually done, or mostly done, just so we can take a look at the outer walls before we head inside the city proper, where most of our base actually is. So if we come over, this little area here is where we've actually done the outer walls, and so we just have to bring these around and kind of build all this out a bit. So we will be doing that before too long, because really whenever it comes time for that, we need to do a lot of landscaping. I forgot that village was here too, to be honest. But we got to do a lot of landscaping as well around here, because the land is just wild as can be. So let's head on over and we'll enter the city. And we'll be building our gatehouse before too long, hopefully. Just so many little projects. So many projects. Stop shooting me. And my town is filled with monsters, of course. Now this area here, let me go sleep real quick. Okay, so this area here, this path, this road was kind of like this was a trial. I don't know that it's what we're going to keep, but because we may do it more like the road over there, we'll see. And then actually down here is our nether portal. We're going to be building a proper one of those before too long. A nice little setup for it. And then over here, this is another thing we're going to be working on before long. This is going to be the entrance to kind of our dragon cavern, our fire dragon cavern. So we are going to start building that hopefully before long, as well as the ice dragon cavern. Though at present I don't have any ice dragons. I have a bunch of fire dragon eggs, but no ice dragons yet. And then this is going to be our tech building. It's still very, very unfinished. But hopefully that's another thing that we'll start working on before too long. And then over here, this is of course just our deep dark resource area. So anytime I need resources, I just come over here and then take it over to the smith and dump it in. It's way more involved than it should be, but that's why one of the first things we're going to be doing after this world upload is our ore processing and mining areas. And then this, of course, we still have to do the entryways, the path, all that good stuff. We'll get to that. And then we still have to do the underbelly here and do a bit more with our IC2 crops. We started working on them, but then like this just proved to be plenty, so I never got back over to it. So but this building, if we come on inside, this lower floor, it still has a little bit of work to do, but it's kind of getting there, kind of getting to where it needs to be. But we do have our reactor. I don't think I ever actually set up this other one. No, it's really just one running, but it's plenty of power at the moment for our base, and these are self-resetting levers, so I actually don't have to shut those off. And then we have power storage over here. And then, of course, behind that, we convert that for all of our RF needs. We pretty much power everything off of our IC2 system. And then over here is our IC2 UU matter storage and pattern storage and all that. And then kind of just all of our reactor setup stuff over here to have it be fully automated. And then where it produces the UU matter. Over here, I don't think there's really anything on this side. There is some like crafting things and little, this is kind of like our general IC2 machines over here. And this was our original power setup where we produce, you know, the biomass and everything, which looks like it is actually tapped out. I'll have to take a look. It may have just ran out of, I think it just ran out of heat, it looks like. Okay, that's fine. I know what the issue is. I think I have to fill it back up full with the netherrack, because I don't actually have that automatic, and then I never really bothered because we got the reactor set up and didn't really use that much. Also, underneath here, you can kind of see, I'll show you the, this is where all the guts of everything is. And you can see lots of the RT generators running now, running 3 RTG pellets each, and then kind of all of our system for managing everything. Lots of uranium and stuff built up, and here built up. But if we head on up, there's only like one other layer that has anything, and it's still kind of unfinished. This one, you could say there's areas here that I haven't finished building out. Over here, this was pretty much just the area that we used to push tech to like the late game tech, so that we could get into flux networks. So this is just kind of all just sort of a mess of machines at the moment, because we kind of just use this area to push tech and then haven't really been over here much anymore, aside from the deep dark portal popping in there every once in a while. Though we are still running our initial quarry because it's just tons of materials that we haven't needed anything else really. So that's pretty much that building. Then a lot of just kind of planning out through here. Of course, our Dragon Forge there for making our Dragon Steel. If we come over, this is the Astral Sorcery area that is still very unfinished. Hopefully something that we'll be tackling before long. Working on kind of pushing Astral Sorcery and finishing out some of these islands and whatnot. But we'll have, we actually built this pretty early on. And this is where our cobble and smooth stone and hardened stone, which is where a lot of our building materials come from, where our generators are for that. And I still need to do something about those pistons. It shouldn't be hard. I just need to get over here and actually think about it, because I tend to stay pretty busy on this pack, so a lot of the stuff I'm just like, I forget about. And then of course we have our glass generators. It really wouldn't hurt to increase these buffers. I didn't at the time because emeralds were expensive, and I usually don't bother with other upgrades. I just go straight for emeralds. But since we got the shipping bins, I should really do that. And then we've got to finish building out our pattern there in the sky and stuff. This is one of our first builds. So, and then you can kind of see the interior of the walls here, and I can show you the upper parts, what it looks like at the moment. Still probably do a bit of work up here as far as like lighting and just like clutter and things like that. But the first thing is really just getting these walls all ran and then doing the clutter. And then we also have to do all the interior of the walls. So this is kind of like an ongoing process that'll span a big chunk of this series, I imagine. Now over here, this is a null setup that no longer works. From a long time ago, where we had the combiner and used that for producing coal out of pretty much nothing, but it no longer works, so it's just kind of here as kind of a remembrance to that system. And then over here, this, we still have to build the whole upper section. Once again, kind of doing it on a priority system. We have our presses here. This is kind of our starter immersive engineering building. Over here, so just kind of some decorative piping through there, and some thermoelectric power being generated there. And if we pop down, we have our biofuel system with IC2 for creating that, which looks to be pretty much, it tends to be always tapped out because it just feeds over to the generator, and then the generator eats it and it's gone. So I usually don't expect much. I could turn that generator off. I could totally do with turning that generator off, but I just kind of leave it for sound effects over there. Now this building we built not too long ago, this is, of course, the interior. There's nothing in here. We're going to be doing a string of decorating, I hope, between this world upload and the next. But this one is kind of, this will be our poison, kind of apothecary type area, and this is actually where we create loads and loads and loads of resonant ender, so that we've got plenty of it for building, and we'll be using it a bit for automation purposes as well, for making our enderium. But all it is just some enderman seeds that feed over and make ender pearls. All it is. You can see we have a stockpile of ender pearls built up, and I have since filled all of our decorative resonant ender tanks with resonant ender, and then these are all filled up as well. And then we have our distillery system, decorative. This is all decorative, really. But our distillery system over here. And really the only things that do anything is ender pearls get made here. Then they get sent over to a melter that sits right here. And there we go. There's resonant ender. But this is all just kind of decorative, done with chisels and bits. That kind of goes on over here. But we need to get over here and do the interior. And also it was brought up about automating actual poison over here. So that is something that I would like to do, like automating this, maybe the biomes of plenty poison and some other stuff. We can do that over here as well, because it does kind of fit the area a bit. Now over here, we'll talk about this first. This was kind of a string. This was one episode that we built out all these buildings, and this is just kind of adding some buildings to add some life to our village. We still have to kind of clutter up and dirty up the roads and things like that. You know, we talked about that back then, but we'll get to that. A lot of our buildings aren't finished, but it's like a, you know, we kind of jump around and stuff and do different things. None of the interiors are done. We'll decorate them at some point, but this is just an area with a lot of just kind of decorative small buildings that would serve as kind of our villagers' housing, because prior to this we didn't really have any like just housing areas within the town, and so it was a good way to kind of add some life to the village, or add some life to the city, while also adding some structures and stuff that we could have some fun building. So we do have this. These are going to be some buildings. This is going to be kind of like a manor house, and this is actually going to be our AE2 building. So we will be starting those before too long, because AE2 is definitely something that we are fast approaching at this point, because maybe not so much just like super automation, but more for the sorting aspect, and also automating some of our building materials and decorative blocks, because I don't want to start decorating interiors until we can just order tons of armor stands, tons of item frames, things like that. So if we come in here, this was one of our early buildings. Still have to decorate it all, but this is our storage building. Also, for the world upload, my inventory will be within this chest, so my armor and my baubles and things will be in this chest. So just a heads up there. But back in here we have our storage area, and right now it is pretty manual to use this. So I end up, and I also end up with, I added this a little bit back, and this is basically just a really rough sorting system. So everything that doesn't have a place to go gets dumped off in these chests, but everything that does have a place to go gets sent to the appropriate storage areas. So I've just ran all this with item conduits that just run up under the floor and then plug into controller slaves. I still have a lot of stuff, of course, in here that needs sorting, but it's stuff I sorted for a bit, and then I was just kind of like, whatever. I haven't bothered finishing this out, because a lot of it's just really miscellaneous things. I have facades that happen to be mimicking different blocks and just all kinds of things. Up here, this is kind of tool storage. And over here, we are going to be, once we start building the interior of these walls, we are going to build a room that comes out here, and this is actually from the wood farm. And this is basically wood import, comes in here from the wood farm, and it prioritizes sending it here, which is for making our living wood, and anything beyond that then gets sent over to the controller slave. Just something small that I added to the wood farm to kind of make it work a little bit better. So we always had wood in this building as well, but then we were also creating living wood. Over here we have just some junk in these crates, and then we come on up and we have kind of miscellaneous items up here. We have capacitors up here, just more miscellaneous junk from different mods. Over here we have some essence. This was originally going to be food storage, but I don't think it will be, because the way that I'm going to be handling food is going to be a little bit different than my original plan. If we head up here, and actually let's come across to this side. This is our little cobble system. So you can see right now we have 4 octuple compressed cobblestone, and basically this is just a little cobblestone generator behind the wall here that's feeding this, and then it gets sent around and ran through compacting drawers. Not super fast, but it does do the trick. And then, oh, that's all dragon skulls. I forgot what was up there. And then we have some more item storage up here, and then a whole lot of nothing over here. I don't even know what was supposed to be over here. Something. We'll put something over here. And then, of course, this runs up. This is going to be, or this is going to connect up to these little areas and these. So the way that we'll access the walls will be through the interior for the most part. So if you want to go up layers in the walls, you'll just go inside the wall actually, and travel upwards through these kind of like winding corridors that are going to run through here. And we'll have some stuff, but we'll have some stuff within these walls, but we will be kind of tackling the wall interiors, at least starting those before too terribly long, I hope. But as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of projects that we're going to get to. It's just a matter of getting the time to get over to them and not getting sidetracked by something else. And then our last big building here is the magic, kind of the magic Citadel building. And we've got these tubes set up. Really only 2 of them are currently running. This one over here produces our living wood. So basically wood comes in from the wood farm. It gets dropped down here into the liquid starlight, producing the infused wood. And then that infused wood comes over here and gets placed by builders. And everything's managed by builders. So for example, if I was to... Oh wait, I grabbed the wrong one. Because now it's making infused wood. I need to grab this. So that basically comes in and it fills it full. And then as soon as this gets converted over to living wood, it just busts it all down. So we can basically have tons of living wood because we need so much for building on the inside that it was pretty much a necessity to get that automated. And then over here we have our living rock system. It does work, but it's not fully automated because I don't have arcane stones currently automated, and that's the only reason really. So everything else is still plugged up. It can build, but it has to be manually fed arcane stone to produce that living rock. But luckily, we haven't had to build anything with living rock just yet, so that's the reason we haven't gotten around to it yet. Because it feels like we basically do a setup, and it's like, we're going to automate wood and then living wood today. And that's all so that we can build the next build that we're going to be working on. That's where basically most of our automation comes in. Now over here is our tree farm. This is all managed by Botania. So trees get grown and they get broken, and then the wood gets collected and then sent to all the places that it needs to go. And if we pop down here, we can see what it looks like underneath here. So it's just a crazy fest of stuff going on down here. I need to put a void upgrade on that, actually, because we're starting to get a lot of saplings built up. I will have to do that before I forget. And then if we head on up, let's head into the first floor. And there will be a basement. We've talked about that in the more recent speed build. So all this exterior, I keep going through phases of like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I keep changing my mind. But this is going to get mostly removed and dug down. And then our tree is going to extend downwards. Because this is, of course, more like the top of the tree. Our tree is going to extend downwards into kind of like a cavernous area where the tree is actually growing up out of. But this is kind of our Yggdrasil type tree that's growing up in the center of this. And if we head on inside, there are lots of different entrances into here, but we kind of have this like elven sanctuary, this elven magic sanctuary set up here. So this is kind of the side of our Botania stuff. We still have our elven portal set up, but most of the stuff has been ripped up. And up here we do have our Gaia Steel creation area. But we're going to be tackling a bit of Botania before too long, and kind of refining a little bit of what we got going on in here. And if we click on our luminizer, of course, we can get sent upwards, up to the next floor where it just kind of drops us off at the moment until we get stuff done. And you can say we have a very unfinished floor up here where our Thumbcraft stuff is set up. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And out here we have just kind of like this large deck area. We're going to put glass over the top of this, but we have our Resonant Ender ran through here. And we're also going to have it kind of flowing off in places and stuff. So we'll get to that before too long. But that's where we needed all that Resonant Ender for, was running that. And then up here, this is going to be the side of our Blood Magic area, which is very, very unfinished. It's usable, but that's about it. That's about all that we have in terms of blood magic. I've basically made an altar, a sacrificial knife, and like a couple other things, and that's about it. And then if we head up to the very, very top of our building, we have all these lightning rods that kind of span around here. They're not actually plugged up to anything at the moment, but we do have all these lightning rods ran out. And then we are going to have our draconic energy orb perched up here, and then kind of have a structure built over that. So we kind of have this like top area to our magical citadel. So still very much a work in progress. A lot of time has went into this building already, and we still have so much to do. So very much to do to it. But I think that's true across the entire base. So that is the base thus far. I mean the general gist of the base. Once again, my inventory will be in a chest right as you walk in. And a couple things that we are for sure going to be working on in the coming episodes, at least between this world upload and the next, we'll be working a bit over here. I want to get at least a couple speed builds in over here, doing the area around this and doing some of this outer section as well as adding in animals, and maybe starting into some Animania, and also adding in the rest of our essence farms that aren't just Insanium essence or Inferium essence. Adding in those farms and stuff. And we definitely need dye essence. I want to get that up and going pretty quick because I've got a lot of foods that I've already got automated, but they do require dye, and they're not really being produced at the moment because we don't have dye automatically coming in there as of yet. So I would like to get that set up before long. And we are going to be doing a bit with storage related stuff, maybe a little bit of automation as well, possibly pushing into a little bit of AE2. And we're going to be doing ore processing and mining and doing a setup for that. And then hopefully working on this building a little bit because we are going to be pushing a little bit of tech as well. And not like progression, just pushing progression tech, but actually like pushing really into tech at this point, where we can kind of go in and start working on various projects related to tech. So we'll be starting that before long. So hopefully doing a bit with this building because it's very, very unfinished at the moment. Basically just, it's like a visual plan as kind of a placeholder so I don't forget what I had in mind for this build, more or less is what it is. So, but we'll also be doing a variety of other things, I'm sure. So, but anyways, we're going to wrap this up. Once again, if you guys want the world download, it will be down in the description of the video, so feel free to drop down there and grab that if you're interested. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.